Hey, YouTube land. You know, a lot of people don't realize that we have a homestead business. We don't just homestead, but it's part of our livelihood. And part of that is going to places like the Baptist Church for a pumpkin patch. We set up our stand with our honey and the things that we produce at the homestead. This has to be the nicest pumpkin patch I've ever been to. Let's go over to the farm stand. This is the stuff we make at the homestead. We actually have the coffee made for us. Tea, herbs, hot sauce, salsa, more honey. It's all from stuff that we grow right there at the house. So we love to get out and share it with the community, and the community enjoys having us. This is getting out and being a part of what's going on. There's a lot of like-minded people that show up to places like pumpkin patches because they want to be together. They want to gather, and they want to be a part of what's happening in society. We're not shutting the pumpkin patches down. We are gathering, and we're going to be a part of community. We're going to go hang out at the pumpkin patch. See ya. We have Cornish cross chickens being delivered next week. And I wanted to make a modification to the chicken tractor. So the plan is we want to put a door in this end, right? So that we can open that, and we're going to have them surrounded by electric net, and that way when they get a little bigger we can let them out. I got a couple boards here from the sawmill, 3 inches. If I cut that in half, that'd be 1 3/4 inches. I think for a little door, I think it's going to be fine. So we'll go here. We'll go a 16 1/2 here. I found some hinges. Man, I'm so excited about that. They don't match, but that's okay. It's functional, right? Here we go. Okay. It opens. It closes. It opens. It closes. It's a door. The hinges don't match, right? But that doesn't matter. It's a door on my chicken coop, and now my chickens can come out. They get a little extra grass if they want, or stretch out in the sun. When building things for your urban homestead, use what you got, and consider function over form. Good morning, YouTube friends. We're gonna pick some collard greens today. Now that we have our greens picked, we'll get them kind of washed. They're not real dirty. They might have a little bit of dust on them, but it ain't much of nothing. We're just gonna kind of wash them a little bit. And then I'm gonna remove the stems. And we'll chop them up and get them in the pot to cook down so that we can can them. There you go. Get a bucket for our stems. It's not a difficult process. I like to remove the stems. There's a lot of folks that don't remove the stems, and I'm good with that. You know, you do your greens the way you want to. I don't like them tough stems in my greens. I want to take this opportunity right here to say thank you for subscribing. We are grateful for every one of you who have come and joined us and decided to make us a part of your life. And it blesses our life. If you would, share this video or our channel with your friend. Let them know who we are, what we're doing. We are not ashamed, and we are fully convicted in growing our own food and providing for ourselves. You know, if you find bad spots on your greens, just peel them off, right? You gotta stress out about it. If you don't already, go over to Facebook and give us a follow over there. Right now, every Sunday night, we're doing a live broadcast, and we're talking about just whatever's on our heart, right? After I get finished with these collard greens, I got a bunch of mustard greens that needs to be picked too. Pretty mustard greens. If you've never eaten raw mustard, you should. Raw mustard's pretty spicy. Well, right out of the gate, it's sweet, and right about now is when that spiciness really hits. Yeah. They're all cut up, and I'm emptying this sink out. Let's give some chickens some collard stems. They can turn these collard stems into eggs for us. Isn't that great? There you go. We'll do some collards. There's plenty for everybody. Y'all clean them up. Turn them into eggs. Our grains all washed, and we got them in the pot, got it turned on. I don't have a whole lot of water in this pot because it's going to wilt down quite a bit. It just doesn't take a lot of water. I'll stir this quite a bit, but really all I'm trying to do is take this pot of greens and just wilt the leaves. I'm not cooking them, right? I'm just wilting them. You can see there's a pot full of collard greens here, right? And that's going to cook way down. It'll be half of this after it's cooked down. So once I've got it wilted, we'll start putting them in the jars. Here's something that's really important. Don't salt your greens at this stage while you're wilting them down. You're going to salt them once you put them in the jar. You can see they've cooked way down already. They're mostly wilted now. They're just about ready to go in the jars. I have my jars washed and sanitized. Again, we are not cooking these. We are only wilting them. Let's get our all-American pressure canner up here. We'll get our water in it. Inside your pressure canner, you've got these racks, and this keeps the jars up off of the bottom of the vessel, because when they are boiling and it's bouncing, that can crack the jars. The All-American pressure canner does not have it doesn't have a rubber seal. This is the lid. It's a metal on metal contact. When you first get them, they recommend putting a little petroleum jelly on that. Some of the brands that are not All-American, Prestos and things, they have a rubber seal that will dry rot and go bad on you. With that metal on metal seal, that you don't ever have to worry about that. And that's kind of nice to not have to worry about that, right? So let's say something were to happen and let's say product shipments were delayed, right? And you needed a seal, a rubber gasket for your pressure canner so that you could store food for your family. That could be pretty detrimental, right? If you're dependent on your pressure canner to preserve the food that you and your family will need for the year or 2 years to come. And you can't get a rubber seal. That's a problem. I just don't have a whole lot of space in this little kitchen, so we're going to do the best we can. So I'm doing pints. There's just Noelle and I that eat greens. So that'll be one serving for us, a pint, and so that's how we're going to do it. Get your funnel and start putting your greens in there, folks. We're going to get a spoon and we're going to pack them in there pretty good. I wouldn't pack them like you pack sauerkraut. But go ahead and fill that jar up pretty good, right? Sauerkraut, you're really packing all the air out. We're not doing that with collard greens. I might make some collard green sauerkraut on the next picking. I made some last year. It's pretty good. It was actually a combination of collards and cabbage, and I really enjoyed it. few people that I let try it really enjoyed it. So you want about 1-inch headspace, right? And we look pretty good there. After your greens are in your jar, I'm going to put 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt in that jar. You could probably use sea salt or like Redmond salt, but I'm not going to take a chance. I don't want any odd flavors in my greens, so I'm just going to use kosher salt. Get you a brand new lid, put it on there, and then put your ring on. Just finger tight. You know, we're not trying to crank down on it, just finger tight. That's one down. Here we go. I hear a lot of people talking about having a hard time finding lids for canning. And I haven't seen that issue. So I'm just going to speak out loud here, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm good with that. I think people have a hard time finding lids because they don't stock them. You don't keep them at home. So you only go look for lids in the store when you're getting ready to can something. You know, when I buy lids, you know, wherever I go and find lids, whether it's a tractor company or a wall company or whatever, I buy a whole case of lids at a time because I know I'm going to use them. I do a lot of canning. So I buy a case of lids at a time. I don't buy 1 or 2 packs. That's not going to do anything for me. I buy a case, right? I buy $60 worth of lids when I buy them. So I think what happens is people only go looking for lids when it's time to can something. And guess what? I know this sounds crazy, right? I know this sounds a little out of line. But check this out. Everybody cans at the same time every year, right? Everybody's out looking for lids. So they're going to run out. So when you buy lids, buy a bunch of lids. Buy a case of lids at a time. Buy 2 cases of lids at a time, depending on what your family's needs are. And I think that mentality will be helpful to you. You know, we got so used to, as a society, just having what we need available to us at our fingertips, right? And we are not in that world anymore, folks. We're just not. Manufacturers have moved all of their work all of their production overseas. And and guess what? We're having political struggles with people overseas. You know, manufacturers have moved all production overseas, right? Look, I'm not talking about things that aren't true here, folks. I'm just addressing the elephant that's in the room, right? Let's not kid ourselves. We have political issues with other countries, right? We look at what just happened in Afghanistan. Whether the mainstream media is talking about it or not, we are having huge issues with China right now. And guess what? We got a lot of products from China. My wife just got here. Okay, our greens are in the canner. Let's get a lid on. These All Americans, they got an arrow here that you line up with a notch, and it locks everything down. Lock the lid down in place. Let's get that out of the way. Now what we're going to do is we're going to let this vent for 10 minutes. After it comes up to a good hard boil, this is going to vent out of the vent hole. We'll let that vent for 10 minutes, and then we'll put our weight on the vent. So this is your weight, and it has different settings, 5, 10, and 15 pounds. For where we are, we're below 1,000 feet of elevation. So we will do 10 pounds of pressure. The greens are finished cooking. It smells really good. So we're going to take them out. And always put your jars on a dry towel. You don't want them to break. That's how we can collard greens. It's not difficult. It took us a couple hours to do it. And more importantly, we know what went into that process. We know how the plants were planted, how they were picked, cleaned, and preserved. So, and we didn't support a broken supply chain. And I think that's really important. We know where our food came from, and that gives us independence.